And there it is. Boom, boom, boom. Everything is working for us this morning. Bandwidth, that's a cool thing. Great way to start our podcast. Good morning, everyone. This is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss Lady Canna, live from a blue sky. This morning it's a blue sky, Vero Beach, but I'll have to tell you what happened last night with two
Sistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. Some lighting issues here because it's kind of doom and gloom here in North Haven, Connecticut. We are supposed to have, I don't like saying partly cloudy, but technically, obviously it is partly cloudy. I'm waiting for the partly sunny to come up. I'll take whatever sun we can get. So Triumph Tuesday, let's dive right on into it. I'm going to turn it over to you because I see you kind of like busting out of the seams like you just
Well, I always crack up about the weather when they say partly cloudy, partly sunny. So what is it? Because usually when you think of partly cloudy, that means that the sun is out, but then there's some clouds, right? And that's why it's partly cloudy. And partly sunny still means there's clouds out, but the sun is still out. So they both kind of mean the same. I don't know how.
Well, exactly. In the end, it's like, is the glass half empty or half full? It's like right. The same kind of thing.
I mean, I guess as long as it's not getting a nor'easter. That's great. Let's take whatever you get. But last night, it was interesting. I want to say it was around 10-ish in this area. We had tropical storms a couple days ago. Actually, Sunday. It was Sunday afternoon. It didn't last long, maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours, but we definitely needed the rain. We hadn't gotten a good soaking rain and seemed like forever. And last night, I thought, ooh, are we getting a thunderstorm? Because the sky just kind of lit up. It was just kind of this weird, you know, you get that flash of lightning, but this was a little bit different because it had a couple flashes, kind of like lightning, but then the sky lit up. It was really weird. Well, come to find out, there was I guess a break off of some meteor, and it was actually felt from, I want to say, or saw from, I want to say Jacksonville over. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Jacksonville down to close around Miami anyways. So it was funny because, like I said, I wasn't sure what it was. And then I actually found a clip of it, which I posted on my timeline. And you see what I mean. You see the streak, you see the kind of the flash, 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 and then a big flash. So when it was occurring, you know, you really weren't sure. You didn't hear thunder. There was no rain. It was just one of those, you know, you thought, okay, maybe it's heat lightning. But what I found interesting was because so many people have the doorbell app and doorbell on their front door. And so many people captured it from every different angle possible. So supposedly it's a breakoff of some sort of meteor. Somebody else said it was something to do with some missile launching. I don't know. The mystery goes on. We're going to triumph over it and try to figure out exactly what it was. But it was interesting last night. So that happened last night around 10-ish, 10:15, somewhere around there. I don't remember because I was kind of like going in my head of just different stuff that's going on. But we talk about Triumph Tuesday and what the meaning of that is. And a lot of people, when you hear that word triumph, it's a big word, right? It's something that I think all our listeners and viewers can associate it with something triumphant, something huge. And we don't want to belittle the small wins. So what could be a small win, which is still a triumph? It could be that, you know what, today you got out of bed. You know how many people suffer from depression? Maybe they have an autoimmune issue that their body's got those aches and pains. So a triumph for that person would be getting out of bed. Other people, it could be making the bed. It could be going, you know, out and doing grocery shopping, getting to that appointment, getting to that dreaded thing that you wanted to get done, whether it was a chore. Maybe it was finally saying, you know what, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes today to do everything Monday mindset, get my mind in the right focus, maybe read a book, maybe hear some good music, do something, collaborate, you know, really kind of lock arms and elbows with other people that have that same passion. So we love chatting about that because there's so many times the small wins, don't you think, Jan, are always forgotten? And those are really, when you add those up, they become a huge triumph. But we also have to validate the small wins because those are such big triumphs for other people.
They certainly are. And don't ever negate that fact because it's really important for your mindset And for what you do triumph over, I mean, think of that word triumph. It's kind of a big word, triumphing. Like there's so many derivatives that you can possibly get out of that word. So why not take those small wins, making your bed? You mentioned reading. And by the way, I have a sidebar about reading, which we'll discuss in just a second. Whatever it is to you, don't let somebody else define it for you. You define it for yourself, because maybe your triumph might spark somebody to say, you know what, well, if they did that, well, maybe I can't do that whole thing, but if I approached it from this different aspect, it's all about, excuse me, it's all about creating that momentum for yourself. When you create momentum for yourself, you triumph in a way where you feel good about yourself and you want to share that energy, and somebody will spark off of that and take your energy and run with it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this big monumental type of thing. And if it is, that is fantastic as well. We don't want to negate that as well. And I think I'm probably using the wrong words, but I think you can understand where the, and as I'm talking about it, I'm getting exciting, because for me, I've triumphed over so many things this past week, and I am excited to say that I will be back. I've got the clearance, and I will be back in ILK at the ILKB mat tomorrow morning at 0500. So I'm really excited about that. And I feel that energy with me. And I hope that for whoever's listening or viewing this, maybe you're out taking a walk, and maybe that puts a little bit more of a spark in your step to maybe walk just a little bit faster. Everybody in the world knows that I am a very slow walker. My gait is not that wide, as evidenced by our walk across Connecticut a few years ago.
You did awesome. Don't, and here's a perfect example of that when I talk about triumphing, because a lot of times when we triumph over something, either we get a derailment of what we're working towards or that goal, or somebody, I don't want to use the word belittle, but they don't think it's such a big deal. And just your words right now, well, you're negating what you did. You like, how many other people walked how many X amount of miles? You only, last the last few hours because you had an injury, but you still went almost for the full thing. So that's the point with Triumph Tuesday that I also like to share with our audience and our viewers, because sometimes, you think you've done this really good thing, you've been trying to get to it. Maybe it's a project, maybe it's a new fitness strategy that you're doing, maybe you're eating cleaner, whatever. And how many times, and I know our viewers and our audience can relate, how many times have you shared that with someone? And they're like, okay, big deal. Oh, I guess that's okay. Well, good for you. And you get that feeling like they're not in line with the excitement that you're feeling, number one, sharing the triumph. But then you leave there feeling less than. And the whole point of Triumph Tuesday is don't let anyone less than your wins. And that's the point. It doesn't matter how big or small they are. If you achieve something and you felt good about it, that you accomplished it, or that you made a decision, you're going in a different direction. Maybe you've been doing the same routine all the time. Every single day you do that same exercise workout, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna push myself a little bit harder and do something totally different. And you know how that is when you first start something, you're not an expert at it. It might feel a little awkward at first, but you feel really good that you at least took the first step. Even taking the first step is a triumph. So if you're chatting with anyone out there, your family, your friends, whoever it may be, and you don't get the feeling that they're excited for you triumphing over that, don't let that discourage you, because often too many times, all these little wins lead you to a bigger win, or lead you to a bigger goal, maybe a bigger vision. And no one, I don't care who they are, has the right to make you feel less than. And sadly, a lot of people that feel that less than stop what they're doing. They stop that production of going in another direction. Maybe, they decided to join a gym that might be a big triumph. For a lot of people, joining a gym is nerve-wracking. And the reason why? A lot of people think, well, you're going to get that really fit person coming in with that, really nice outfit, and, they know everyone and they're popular, and you're going to go in there and you're like, geez, I don't even know how to use this equipment. How many times have you gone into a gym and you're like, okay, where do I begin? Where do I start? And you're almost afraid to ask, and you do, but you get that feeling that, that trainer or that other person that's also working out is kind of looking at you like you got 3 eyeballs, right? Well, what does that do for your self-esteem? What does that do for your feeling that you triumphed, that you actually got your foot in the door? You leave there less than, and you probably, in all honesty, won't go back. So the whole point is, when we are setting ourselves up and looking backwards from the last week of what our triumphs are. Triumph could have been even as of yesterday, it could have been this morning. Whatever that triumph is, don't let anyone negate you feeling your win.
That is so true. And that brings me back to that very first time I walked into the gym many years ago, and that feeling of overwhelm, and the cute girl. And I think I may have told this story, but a very beautiful lady, perfectly made up, perfect workout outfit. And I felt this wasn't her fault, although, when she looked at me, I can tell exactly what she was thinking. And I said to myself, no, I don't care what this person thinks. I am going to persevere. And then fast forward about 10 months, and I looked totally different. And that morning when I walked in the gym, I was wearing a cute outfit, and I felt really good. And I just felt beaming. And I happened to run into her in the ladies' room, and she struck up a conversation with me. And I said to her, well, don't you remember me? And she's like, no, I have no idea who you were. Long story short, she didn't realize that I was that person. And I wasn't, and we had a great conversation, and it wasn't like, well, you did this and this is how
Right.
you feel. It wasn't like that at all. It was a great conversation. And she walked away with that, with, amazing sense of how you react to somebody and what they're trying to achieve for themselves is a pretty big step. I had no clue walking into the gym that day. I think I made it on the elliptical maybe 2 minutes, if that. So
I have a funny story. Go ahead.
So it just goes to show you that, how others perceive, and you can tell when they look at us or what we say to them, that you can just tell, and you get those vibes from them. Remember that it's them. It is not you. So what do you want to say?
Well, as soon as you brought up the word elliptical, brought me to a time, I believe we were traveling and we were at a hotel gym, and it was a different elliptical than I've ever used or whatever. And needless to say, no, it wasn't elliptical. What's the, see, I can't even remember what it's called. The, like, the what? Treadmill. Yeah, treadmill. Elliptical popped in my head, but it was actually a treadmill. And, sometimes, different makes, models, whatever, with different ways of turning it on and or getting used to and adjusting. So I inadvertently hit the wrong button. And frequently you'll see different gifs of someone like running and then they kind of flop. That was me. And so as soon as you said elliptical, and when I got up, I'm like, wow, that was, a moment. And I just went on with my workout. But the point being is, it's so true that a lot of times we often forget that sometimes for people to start a new journey, to make that decision they're going forward, to start, whether it's fitness, whether it's healthy, whether it's, I'm looking in the mirror and I've got to make some changes in my life. Maybe I got to eat better. Maybe I got to have a better mindset, better outlook on things. And sometimes that inner voice puts doubt in our head. And then we realize, well, we can overcome it. We can do it. And then all of a sudden that brick wall hits when you run into someone. And I think what we also have to do with those triumphs is to also remember that we can't read someone else's mind. That could be our own, inadvertently could be our own insecurities of thinking this person's thinking something. So a lot of times when people derail from their health and wellness, whether they, it's their mindset, whether it's what they want to achieve, their vision, their goals, they let others dictate it in their head, but they truly don't know what the other person's thinking. And it could be that I don't want to use the word imagine it, but it could be a misperception of what is really going on. So those are things that you have to be aware of. So what will you be triumphing over today? Could it be, you want to tackle maybe having more patience? Maybe you want to tackle that closet that you wanted to reorganize. Maybe it's your cabinets. Maybe it's going through some old, boxes of junk. It's so good to clean out stuff. Maybe it could be that, your fitness is plateaued and you need to introduce something new into the regimen that you're already doing. Just go out and do it and celebrate the win. Whether it was even just sitting down and saying, you know what, every time I go to the grocery store, I'm just buying off the end caps. I'm not really organized when I do that. Today, I'm going to actually write out a list of really healthy things that I want to eat, things that I need to put in my refrigerator, making sure that I've got all the colors of the rainbow and be organized that way. Maybe it's just simple as being organized. But the point is, celebrate the wins. Regardless of how it turns out, you can always find, don't you think you can always find something to celebrate, even if it's the smallest minute thing? Don't you think, Jan?
Yes, because, for instance, you mentioned about the rainbow, and I have a lot of rainbow stuff in my refrigerator. So I'm thinking, how can I be creative with, what I have? And you had mentioned that the other day when you had made dinner for Johnny. So, it could be something as simple as that, which really in the long run, it would be a huge thing for me because I'm not that creative with cooking. So for me, when I do something like that, it's like,
that's a big win. That's a win for you. And we should pat ourselves on the back. I think women, more so than men, but I think women have a hard time congratulating themselves, like having that conversation in the mirror saying you did good. No, it wasn't perfect, or maybe next time I'm going to try it a little bit better this way, but gee, I'm going to celebrate my win that I actually attempted it, or I tried it and, I got to tweak it a little bit, because a lot of times perfection's in the eyes of the beholder. And if we really want to talk about perfection, who in the world is perfect? If we were all perfect, we'd be boring people.
We certainly would. And before we sign off, I just, I wanted to segue back to reading. So I came up with a great idea. Do you have a reading list for the summer? So I'm going to create my reading list today, and I will post it on the TwoSistas Facebook page. Let me know what you think, what book I should read next.
Oh, I love that. I love that, because, it's great to get advice from other people, knowing, okay, well, they might like this, they might like that. And sometimes the greatest read is something that you would totally not even think about reading. And again, it comes from someone that, gives you that recommendation, like, hey, I read this book, not sure if it's up your alley, but you know what, why not? And there's nothing like diving into a good book, a good story, a good journey. Don't get overwhelmed by big books. Some people do. Go for a book that's got short stories in it. Sometimes it's just easier to digest, kind of get you. But what I will tell you about reading and journaling is it keeps your mind sharp. It really keeps your mind sharp. And as, once you get into your 40s and on up, you'll notice each decade's a little bit different in mindset, and your mental clarity has got to be paramount in who you are. So you want to keep sharp with that. And reading and writing is one of the best ways. We overlook that. It's so simple to do, and we overlook that. So with that, we want to wish everyone a great Triumph Tuesday. Celebrate your wins. Have that conversation in the mirror. Pat yourself on the back, the arms, whatever you want to do. Fist pump it, whatever you got to do to get that energy and knowing that you did good and you should celebrate you. With that, this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, Lady Canna, live from Vero Beach with TwoSistas.
Hey everyone, it's Janice, aka aka Wellness Diva 5.0. I don't have my water here. I better go get it. We hope you have an amazing Tuesday and triumph over the little wins and the big ones, of course. We will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. with our guest. So we're signing off for now. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.